What if I told you that there are 5 specific compliments that literally rewire a man's brain and make him think about you every single night before he falls asleep? And here's the crazy part: most women have no idea these even exist, while the women who do know them well, they have men calling them at 2 a.m. just to hear their voice again. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you today is going to flip everything you thought you knew about attraction completely upside down. Let me tell you about Sarah. She's 35, recently divorced, and honestly, she thought her dating days were behind her. She'd been out of the game for 12 years, and every dating app felt like a foreign language. But then something incredible happened at her coffee shop, that little corner place where she goes every morning to work on her laptop. There was this guy, Marcus, maybe 28, who'd been stealing glances at her for weeks. Classic situation, right? Younger guy, older woman, all that awkwardness in the air. But Sarah, she did something that changed everything. She walked up to him, looked him straight in the eyes, and said 5 simple words. 5 words that made this man literally forget his own name for a moment. 3 months later, Marcus proposed to her. I'm not kidding. And when I asked Sarah what those 5 words were, she just smiled and said, I wish I'd known this secret 20 years ago. That's exactly what we're talking about today, those game-changing compliments that make men absolutely obsessed, and why older women who know these secrets have such an unfair advantage in love. Compliment number 1. You make me feel safe to be myself. Here's the first compliment that will absolutely blow his mind, and I guarantee you've never thought of it this way before. When you tell a man, you make me feel safe to be myself, you're not just giving him a compliment, you're handing him the keys to your most vulnerable self. Let me explain why this is pure magic. Every single day, men walk around wearing invisible armor. They're the providers, the protectors, the ones who have to have it all figured out. But when an older woman, someone who's lived, who's experienced life, tells him that he makes her feel safe to drop her guard, that's when something incredible happens in his brain. I remember talking to James, a 29-year-old architect, about his relationship with his 38-year-old girlfriend Lisa. He told me, when Lisa said I made her feel safe to be herself, I realized that no one had ever trusted me like that before. Younger women always seemed like they were still figuring out who they were, but Lisa, she chose to be vulnerable with me. That hit differently. See, here's what most women don't understand: men don't want to be your whole world. They want to be your safe harbor. When you acknowledge that he provides that emotional security, you're touching something deep in his masculine core that younger women often can't access because they're still building their own sense of self. The key is in the delivery. Don't say this during a fight or when you want something. Say it in those quiet moments, maybe when you're both just existing together, when he's done something small but thoughtful. Look him in the eyes and say, I love how you make me feel safe to be completely myself around you. Watch what happens. I've seen grown men tear up when they hear this. Because what you're really saying is, I trust you with the real me. And for a man, especially a younger man who's still proving himself to the world, that level of trust from a woman who's already proven herself, that's intoxicating. Compliment number 2. You see things other people miss. The second compliment is absolutely devastating in the best possible way, and it's this: you see things other people miss. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this sounds generic, let me tell you why this particular phrase is relationship rocket fuel. Men, especially younger men, spend most of their time feeling invisible or misunderstood. They have all these thoughts, observations, and insights, but they often feel like nobody really gets them. They're surrounded by people their own age who are all kind of swimming in the same shallow end-of-life experience. But when an older woman notices something unique about how his mind works, when she acknowledges his perspective in a way that makes him feel truly seen, that's when obsession begins. I'll never forget what happened with my friend Rachel and her boyfriend Tyler. She's 42, he's 31, and they met at a bookstore. Tyler was reading this obscure philosophy book, and instead of pretending to know about it, Rachel said something brilliant. She said, I love how you see patterns in things that most people would just walk right past. Tyler later told me, in that moment, I felt like she could see straight into my soul. Not because she understood the book she didn't, but because she understood me. She saw that I was someone who thought deeply about things, and she valued that. Here's the psychology behind why this works so powerfully. Most people give compliments about things that are obvious: looks, success, material things. But when you compliment a man's unique way of seeing the world, you're acknowledging his mind, his perspective, his inner landscape. You're saying, your thoughts matter to me. And here's the secret sauce. Older women can deliver this compliment with genuine appreciation because they've met enough people to know when someone truly is unique. When a 40-year-old woman tells a 30-year-old man that he sees things others miss, she's not just being nice, she's drawing from decades of human interaction to make that assessment. The timing matters too. Don't use this when he's obviously trying to impress you. Use it when he makes an offhand observation about something. Maybe he notices how the light hits a building, or he connects two seemingly unrelated ideas in conversation. That's when you lean in and say, I love how your mind works. You see things other people completely miss. Trust me, he'll be replaying that moment for weeks. Compliment number 3. You make complicated things feel simple. Here's where we get into some really powerful territory. The third compliment is you make complicated things feel simple. And ladies, this one is absolute gold because it speaks to something men desperately want to be, your source of clarity in a chaotic world. Let me paint you a picture. Most younger women are dealing with drama, confusion, and constant emotional turbulence. They're asking men to fix their complicated situations, to solve their problems, to be their emotional GPS. But when an older woman tells a man that he makes her complicated world feel simple, that flips the entire script. I know a woman named Diana. She's 45, dating a 33-year-old named Alex. Diana runs her own marketing company, has 2 teenagers, and her life is genuinely complex. But Alex has this way of talking to her that makes everything feel manageable. One evening, after he helped her think through a difficult business decision, she looked at him and said, "You know what I love about you? You make complicated things feel simple. When I talk to you, everything just makes sense." Alex told me later, that was the moment I knew I was in love with her. Not because she needed me to fix her life, she clearly had her stuff together, but because she valued how I could bring clarity to her thoughts. I felt like I was adding real value to her life. This compliment works because it positions the man as your emotional strategist rather than your emotional crutch. You're not saying you can't handle complexity, you're saying that his presence makes you feel more capable of handling it. There's a massive difference, and men can feel it instantly. The beauty of this compliment is that it acknowledges his masculine desire to provide solutions while respecting your feminine strength and independence. You're not a damsel in distress, you're a woman who appreciates how he helps you think more clearly. Here's how to use this effectively. Wait for a moment when he's helped you process something, maybe a work situation, a family issue, or even just helped you decide what to watch on Netflix. Then say, "I love talking things through with you." You have this way of making complicated things feel simple. What you're really telling him is that his mind is a safe space for your thoughts. And for a man, knowing that a sophisticated, experienced woman trusts his judgment enough to let him help her think? That's incredibly attractive and bonding. Compliment number 4. You're teaching me things I didn't know I needed to learn. Now we're getting into the really deep stuff. The 4th compliment is, you're teaching me things I didn't know I needed to learn. And this one, ladies, this one will make a man fall so hard he'll think he's in a free fall without a parachute. Here's why this compliment is absolutely devastating. It positions him as your teacher in a relationship where society expects him to be your student. Think about it, everyone assumes that in an age gap relationship, the older woman is the wise one, the mentor, the one with all the life experience. But when you acknowledge that he's teaching you something valuable, you just became the most irresistible woman in his world. Let me tell you about my client Maria. She's 39. Dating a 28-year-old guy named Kevin who's really into cryptocurrency and tech stuff. Now, Maria could have dismissed his interests as young guy nonsense. Instead, she genuinely listened when he talked about blockchain technology, and one day she said, "You know what's crazy? You're teaching me things I didn't even know I needed to learn. I never thought I'd understand any of this tech stuff, but the way you explain it makes me excited about the future." Kevin later said to me, "That was the moment I knew Maria was different from every woman I'd ever dated. She didn't just pretend to be interested, she actually valued what I brought to her life. I felt like I had something real to offer her, not just my youth or energy, but my knowledge, my perspective." This compliment works because it acknowledges that learning is a two-way street. Yes, you have life experience, but he has his own unique knowledge, skills, and perspectives that can enrich your life. When you acknowledge this, you're showing him that you don't see yourself as his superior, you see him as your equal with different strengths. The key is to be specific. Don't just say he's teaching you, tell him what he's teaching you. Maybe it's a new way of looking at career challenges, a different approach to fitness, a fresh perspective on music or art, or even just a more optimistic way of seeing the world. Here's the magic moment. After he's shared something he's passionate about, and you've genuinely engaged with it, look at him and say, "I love how you're expanding my world. You're teaching me things I didn't even know I needed to learn." What you're really saying is, "You're not just along for the ride in my established life, you're actively making my life richer." And that, my friends, is how you create obsession. Compliment number 5. You love me in a way that makes me want to be better. And now for the 5th and final compliment, the one that will literally rewire his brain and make him think about you every single day for the rest of his life. Are you ready? Here it is. You love me in a way that makes me want to be better. I'm getting chills just saying it, because this compliment is so powerful, it should probably come with a warning label. Here's why. This isn't just a compliment about him, it's a compliment about the version of yourself that exists when you're with him. And that's the kind of love every human being is desperately searching for. Let me tell you about Jennifer, 44, and her boyfriend Marcus, 30. Jennifer had been in a marriage for 15 years where she felt like she was constantly shrinking herself, playing small, dimming her light. Then she met Marcus, and something incredible happened. His way of loving her with curiosity, encouragement, and genuine delight in who she was made her remember parts of herself she'd forgotten existed. One night, after Marcus had encouraged her to apply for a promotion she didn't think she deserved, she turned to him and said, "You know what's amazing about you? You love me in a way that makes me want to be better. Not because I'm not enough as I am, but because you see possibilities in me that I can't even see yet." Marcus told me, when Jennifer said that, I felt like I understood my purpose in her life. I wasn't just there to make her happy, I was there to help her become the fullest version of herself. That made me want to be the kind of man who deserved to love someone that powerfully. This compliment creates what I call mutual elevation. You're both inspiring each other to grow. But here's the brilliant part: by acknowledging that his love makes you want to be better, you're telling him that his love has actual power. Not just the power to make you feel good, but the power to transform you. Most men have never experienced this level of impact in a relationship. They're used to being told they're handsome, funny, or successful. But being told that their way of loving creates positive change in another person? That touches something so deep in the masculine psyche that it creates an almost spiritual connection. Here's when to use this compliment. After he's supported you through something challenging, believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself, or simply loved you through a moment when you weren't at your best. Look him in the eyes and say, "I need you to know something. You love me in a way that makes me want to be better, not because you need me to change, but because you see the best in me even when I can't see it myself." Watch what happens. I've seen this compliment save relationships, deepen connections, and yes, create the kind of obsessive, devoted love that fairy tales are made of. Conclusion. So there you have it, the 5 compliments that make younger men absolutely obsessed with older women. But here's what I want you to remember. These aren't just words you say to get a reaction. These are truths you speak when you genuinely feel them. The reason older women have such incredible power in relationships isn't because of some magic formula, it's because they've lived enough life to recognize and appreciate the real value in another person. They've moved past surface-level attraction into soul-level connection. When you tell a man he makes you feel safe to be yourself, that he sees things others miss, that he makes complicated things simple, that he's teaching you what you didn't know you needed to learn, and that he loves you in a way that makes you want to be better. You're not just giving compliments. You're creating a foundation for the kind of love that lasts a lifetime. The secret isn't in saying these words perfectly, it's in meaning them completely. When you genuinely feel these things about someone, your sincerity will make these compliments 1,000 times more powerful than any perfectly scripted line ever could. Remember, you have something incredibly valuable to offer: your depth, your wisdom, your ability to love someone fully while still maintaining your own identity. Don't ever let anyone make you feel like your age is anything but an advantage in love.